Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's open forum. We have a very special guest today, as I told you guys on the invitation. Rates are dropping, have been dropping slowly over time. And well, just let Paul talk about it. Paul, founder of Samaritan Group Mortgage, is here to talk to you guys. Paul, thanks for coming in.
Good morning, guys. Happy end of the month. Do we always do this at the end of the month?
No,
Okay.
it is random, but we've done it the last two times that the Fed has announced that day. So
Okay, got it. All right, so we're on track with that. So yeah, if you guys, unless you've been kind of like, sleeping under a rock, the Fed is definitely, they're meeting today and tomorrow, and we're expecting another 0.25% drop in the Fed funds rate. I don't know if you guys have been getting my daily updates or not, but rates have been. I know Ryan is, because he replies every other day, just to let me know how I'm doing on that. And the rates seem to be going down. They're probably about 0.25% lower than they were the last time we did this, I would imagine. And so it's really already happened. Okay. So the whole point is, I want you guys to have these tools to work with your borrowers who think that they should still wait. That's the worst type of objection you can get. And I want you to please utilize me when you have those cases. We have 3 calculators that we can use to really show the buyers actual data that affects their market rate and whether or not they own a property now or they're renting now. We have a cost of waiting analysis that we can send them. We have a risk of waiting analysis that we can send them. And then for a renter, we have a buy versus rent calculation we can send them. So it's one thing if you just tell them, you should buy now, right? They don't really believe you because they think you want to sell them the house, which is ultimately the case, right? But we can provide actual data that shows, hey, look, what rate, the best question to always ask first, is what are you waiting for? Because if they tell you, that answer is so powerful, right? Because if they say, hey, we talk to Paul, we get these rates every day. We're at 6.156 on the average conforming rate that Ryan so graciously shared on the screen. We really want it to be under 6. Okay, let's say that that's the case. That's the whole objection, because you don't know until you ask, right? If that's the case, we can, number one, we can probably get them an interest rate at 5.875 without it costing them any points. So that might eliminate that objection in and of itself, right? Also, it could work in the opposite direction. If they say that they're waiting for rates to get to 4, you know that they're just completely unrealistic, right? Because that's just not going to happen. We can pull up the chart of what the Feds expect to cut rates over the next 12 months, and that's not even in the ballpark, right? As far as coming down from where we're at now to getting to an interest rate that's that unrealistic, okay? Also, one thing a calculation that I ran too is you've got to think about how many buyers, and this is not going to be on any of the calculations, but it's a real thing to think about because it's not, it's more speculation, but it's absolutely true, is how many buyers enter the buying pool when rates drop. So you get a 0.5% drop in interest rate, right? That's going to bring about 10% more buyers to the buying pool. That's 550,000 new home buyers over the next 12 to 18 months. And the thing that people aren't realizing is since 2024, it's already happening with mortgage applications. Okay. So as you know, this time this year versus this time last year, it's I wouldn't say significantly better, but it's better, right? 2025 for me has been, and I've seen better than 2024 for sure. So especially in the last 4 months. So with that, with those extra buyers that are going to enter the buying pool at that point, that would cause a 15% change in prices. Okay. So a calculation that I ran, if you took your average $400,000 home and you said, okay, if you buy today, now, and you get an interest rate of 6%, let's just call it, your principal and interest payment would be $23.98. If rates dropped to 5.5, so they went down another 0.5 point, even if the price increase was only 5.5%, right? That payment would be more than them taking 6% a year ago. So even though the interest rate would be lower because the prices will have gone up, they will be paying more per month, not to mention the fact that they will owe $20,000 more on that mortgage. Does that make sense? Ryan, did I explain that well? You track it?
Yeah, you never escape that extra 20 grand you pay for the house.
Correct. It's always there. We talked about that a couple of days ago, right? So that's always a reality. That's always something that exists. And, the thing that we try to stress with people is interest rates. Ryan actually had a great analogy for this. I said interest rates and the Fed funds rate, they run on the same highway, but they're not in the same vehicle. So my point with that is the Fed funds rate it's not a direct correlation to mortgage. Typically when one happens, the other one happens, but not exactly. So for example, if they drop rates a quarter, this email that you see on the left-hand side, it's not going to be a 0.25% lower. First of all, they've been broadcasting this for 3 months, ever since the last one, really, 2 months. So it's one of those things where it's already kind of baked into what investors are pricing anyway with bonds. So interest rates are probably not going to actually drop at all today. This email is probably going to look exactly the same thing, exactly the same tomorrow as it looks today, if not a little bit worse, because it's just business as usual. Ryan, you experienced that. You guys saw that on the last one when Feds dropped the rates. The mortgage rates didn't change at all because it was a pitch that everybody knew was coming, right? So keep that in mind. Now, the good news about that is we all know that on this phone call. Buyers don't know that. They just think rates are getting lower and they want to take advantage of it. So that's kind of like, we'll take advantage of that surge, but it's not actually really affecting anything on our end, most likely. If they drop it 3/8 to a half today, which I don't see happening, that could cause some fluctuation on our side. That would be more dramatic tomorrow in the next few days, but they're not really known for their bold moves. So I don't really expect that to happen. Okay. What other kind of objections are you guys dealing with on the rate side of the table, or are you at all? Is that a real objection you guys are saying?
Paul, from what I understand, it's just this is something that buyers don't even really talk to agents about so much. They're waiting, is what it seems like to me. And because I mean, when you talk to regular people who aren't in the position of buyer, just, you talk to somebody at the grocery store or wherever, they're going to tell you, well, I'm not getting out of my 4%, my 3.5%, my 3% loan that I got back in, 2019. And getting into a, they still think it's 7%. I don't think they know that you get something in the 5s now. But I think that needs to be known. And I think that needs to be on our social media. I think that needs to be broadcasted somewhere, because I don't think regular people know that.
So what you're saying is it's our job to communicate it, right?
Yeah.
It's not necessarily that everyone has buyers that are like, hey, when this happens, we'll be ready. It's like, they're not even reaching out at this point. They're in our spheres, but that's as far as it goes. So we got to do a better job, all of us, of communicating where the market's at and what that means for buyers, it sounds like, right? Mm-hmm. So in that case, what I would say is if you have those folks that are maybe wanting to sell, that's a reality, but maybe they're very happy with that low interest rate. Talk to me about some of these calculations. Talk to me about some of this cost of waiting. If you have friends, family, coworkers that are, renting now, get that information of where they're renting versus where they want to be, right? And we can do that risk of waiting or buy versus rent calculation. So that way it's an indirect sell, right? It's one of those things where you're not pitching them on, hey, you need to do something now because rates are better. You're just giving them knowledge and power, and then they can make that decision on their own. So, and also that even if you don't have a buyer identified, let's say that you always focus on this zip code, right? Tell us what that is. Tell us what that average price point is. Email that to me, and then we'll make something that you can advertise on your social media. It's got your pretty picture on there, your contact information, and it's actual knowledge about the area that you're trying to farm and what it means now to buy it.
That's great, Paul. I think and part of the reason I wanted you to come in today, I think we're at the point where rates have dropped and prices haven't gone up yet. And I think this is a kind of a sweet spot time to buy. It's still a buyer's market, but rates have dropped. So I think it's time. Rates might, like you said, might drop a little bit more over the next, maybe in December, maybe again in 2026, early, another 2/4 point drops or whatever. But I think that with that, like you said, the new buyers, there's going to be more buyers. It's going to keep making, I think people are going to catch on that, oh, I can get stuff in the fives now. Your 30-year conforming, are most people getting that in the fives?
They're right there.
Okay. So they're right at 6 then.
Yeah.
I think it's, I think telling your people you can get a 30-year FHA conforming VA, USDA, whatever, all in the, likely in the fives, and depending on, your situation, but the rest of them are all clearly in the fives. So I think that, and like your thing said, this is our national averages, and you can do a little bit better than that typically. So yeah, I think that's very important. And I think now is a very critical time. Now's the time.
Well, we're really focused on primary residence buyers on this phone call right now. But the other thing too is, how many people, this is actually, I'm surprised I haven't been thinking about this and we haven't been talking about it, is I know personally, I have a ton of investors, not necessarily like seasoned pros, right? But I have a ton of investors that, couldn't buy rental properties because they just weren't going to make any money. I mean, I'm sure when they were thinking they were going to pay, because guys, I priced out a couple investment properties yesterday at 6.5% on investment. So those buyers that were like, you know what, the amount of money that I can get in rent, it's just not worth it right now. When we're talking about 7.5% and even 8% for a while, those are a whole group of people that now should be interested. Like, there is no excuse for them. Like that's just easy money, especially when you look at investment properties where once those prices do start to climb up, it's a whole new world, right? Versus just refinancing and getting a lower interest rate. So yeah, those investors, that can make an absolute huge impact on. And for those investors that are not your vanilla, W-2 salaried wage earner type investors, I'm sure you guys have had some DSCR issues, where what stinks about a DSCR issue is you get a pre-approval, but it's all nonsense until the appraisal comes back or the air DNA, right? And you see whether or not that property is going to rent out in the market for what their mortgage payment is. So now that interest rates are a point lower, all of those properties are now available. Like, all of those possibilities are available. So don't sleep on investors either. And that could be a great video for social media too.
Paul, what do you think that people are going to start, people who've got their rates in around 7s and stuff are going to start refinancing? The ones over the last couple of years.
I'm already getting quite a few. Great question. I'm very bullish on refinancing. Before I got into working with y'all, that's all I did. And the thought of working with realtors was a big turnoff for me because refinancing was so easy back in the day. So I come from that world. But now that I'm out of it, for the most part, unless I'm saving somebody at least a percentage point on rate, I'm not really excited about it. And if I'm not excited about it, I'm not going to be able to get them excited about it, right? So I think right now is that time, Ryan, to answer your question, where those people that are at 7 that can go down to 6, it's going to make a big difference for sure.
Okay.
And let's talk about that too, because one of the things that you mentioned, Ryan, that was so great was that, it's not necessarily that we are trying to convince people that don't want to do it right now. It's that we don't know where those people are because they're not raising their hand, right? Okay. So what I'm saying is, even if you call your past clients, this is a great touch point for your past clients. Like, if you close somebody in 2024, if you're not calling them now about interest rates, you're crazy. And the reason I say that is how good are they going to feel? And I'm not saying call them and tell them to call me. I'm saying just do it for yourself. call them and say, hey, I just want to let you know, I know we closed in August of last year. I don't really remember where you ended up because that's not my thing, but where's your rate? Is it in the sevens? Okay, cool. Well, I get these daily updates on rates. You should call the guy that did your mortgage last, or if you need somebody, let me know. I got somebody for you. But I want you to know that I'm always looking out for you, even when your phone's not ringing. And then it's easy to slide in there. Hey, who else do you think would benefit from this kind of information? Friends, family, coworkers that are looking to buy or sell right now. It's a great, honest touch point for you to reach out to your sphere too.
That's a great idea. I always look for a reason to reach out to people. I love those. Malvis asked a question: for investment properties, down payment is always 20%?
No, we can go down to 15.
There you go. All right. Thank you, Malvis. If anybody has any questions, feel free to raise your hand or
let
into
me
the
pull
chat.
up, Malvis. I actually quoted one yesterday at 15% down. And so the way that 15% down typically works, because you can do it, it was the ugliest of the ugly because it's an investment, 15% down. Fannie Mae, they call them loan level price adjustments, and everything that's not perfect about a loan, they add to the rate, and they add to the rate, and they add to the rate. So 15% on investment was typically like the worst case scenario all the time. So I literally quoted this to a guy yesterday: $600,000 single family, 15% down with no points was 6.875.
That's not bad.
20% down was 6.625, and 25% down on investment, 6.125.
That's good for investment.
Yeah, and he also did, just because we're talking about it, he was considering multifamily too, or duplex or triplex. 15% down was only 7.375 on a duplex investment. 20% was 6.875, and 25 was 6.25.
Fantastic. All right. Do you work in other states, DC, Virginia, Pennsylvania?
Virginia and Pennsylvania, but not DC.
Okay.
Also, what I'm going to do for you guys, Ryan, tell me what you think about this, is I'm going to have somebody, because a lot of times we have these calls and I tell you about these tools and then I don't hear anything, right? So I want to send you some examples of what they actually look like. So tomorrow I'm going to have somebody on my team, his name's Robert. We'll blind copy everybody on email if that works, but I'm going to have him send a breakdown of Fed rate cuts versus actual mortgage rates. So that way you can have an educated conversation about that and have some information to send somebody. Also, examples of the cost of waiting, the risk of waiting, and the buy versus rent. The numbers are going to be not important because everybody works in a different area, different price points. I just want you to see how aesthetically this looks and what kind of information it brings to the buyer, okay? Because that way you can even share the example on your social media, and then we can get granular if we need to, okay? We'll do the risk of waiting, the buy versus rent, and then we'll do an amortization schedule that shows, that price today versus that price when more buyers come into the market.
All right, great. Yeah, I'm very excited about seeing the numbers play out however they are. You guys have any questions for Paul? Put them in there.
Anything. It doesn't have to be rate related.
Yeah, it can be about any kind of loan, anywhere, anytime.
My favorite color, whatever you guys want to know.
All right. Paul, do you have any other products market? What happened to the Hometown Heroes? Is that all gone a long time ago?
Let's Bonnie just asked a question too. Let me do the Hometown Heroes thing. Let's see how much money is there. Hold on 1 second, okay? Hometown Heroes has been a slow burn this time, which is good.
Is that because of the slow market or because they tightened restrictions on it?
Both. Okay, so by the way, I always want you guys to know that what I'm doing is not sorcery. You can look this up too. The website is ehousingplus.com. Check this out. So again, it's just impressive to your buyers when you can say, hey, you know, I know how much is in Hometown Heroes. I know this and I know that, right? So let's see, Florida. Okay, so right now, there is $24 million remaining. And it's been, I mean, it's been going about 6-7 million a month, which is pretty slow compared to its peak. Hometown Heroes again now is true Hometown Heroes. It's not eligible for everybody. And the interest rates right now on Hometown Heroes, FHA is, because those are set by the state, so they're not like, they don't really follow what I've been saying earlier. 6% for FHA, and conventional is 6.125. Or excuse me, 6%.
What was that website? Can you put that in the chat?
Yeah, actually, I'll put the exact URL so you don't have to navigate to it.
Okay.
Let me find chat. Okay, so this is the actual hidden door to what lenders use. Okay, so you didn't get this from me, guys, but this will show you the guidelines. This will show you how much money they have left. The only thing that will be confusing to you is the interest rates, because it's different whether we're going with Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac or FHA. So you can always just ask me, pin me on that. Damn, Ryan, you're quick with it. See, it says 24 million there across the center, right? You see that? Hometown Heroes DPA has 24 million remaining. And then on the left-hand side, where it says program guidelines, it will have all of the guidelines if you want to get deep on it. And again, clients will be really impressed and you'll really stand out by, I don't care if you give them this information, honestly, for clients. I just don't want you to give it to your competition. So that way they have it. And if they're looking at you and looking at another agent to hire and you give them this website that literally is a backdoor to the entire thing, you just look a lot better at the end of the day, right? You differentiate yourself as a source of knowledge. So yeah, that's got everything there. And then let me look at Bonnie's question. Hi, Bonnie. Let me see if I can pull it up. I saw it.
Do you offer no income verification loans for investors, and what do those rates look like? I guess DSCR is one of them.
Yeah, so let's do it, Bonnie. Let's, if you guys have a second, let's price one out. Is that okay?
Perfect.
Okay, cool. So yeah, the answer is yes. So we would do DSCR in that situation. Does anybody know? I'm sure some of you guys know what that means. DSCR stands for debt service coverage ratio, which is about the most confusing name for a product in the history of mortgages. So really all that means is that the debt is serviced by the potential rent. Okay, so that's the only qualification. They have to make sure that they're at or exceeding those numbers. So let's see. And the appraiser is going to pull that off, or AirDNA if it's a short-term rental. Give me 1 second and I'll price out a loan. And in reality, guys, as a broker, we'll probably price this out if we're dealing with a real client, you know, with 4 or 5 different lenders. But for this, we're just going to go with one because you don't want to spend 30 minutes looking at this. Give me 1 second. That password. If you guys have any questions while I'm looking this up, feel free to ask too. On these lender websites, they do not change. They do not save your password for security purposes. So all right, I'm in. I'm going to do, I'll tell you what I'm kind of entering in now. All right, I'm going to do DSCR. I'm going to do fixed rate. Okay. I'm going to say we've got a 720 FICO. Let's say our DSR ratio is 1, meaning the mortgage payment matches the comparable rent schedule. no mortgage rates, no bankruptcies, none of that stuff, which you're not seeing a lot of anyway. Okay. I'm doing Orlando, single family home. 30-day pricing. Oh, and sales price. I'm going to do, I mean, tell me if you guys want me to do something different. 450 purchase price, and we're going to do 20%. Okay.
So even if the rent doesn't cover whatever number comes up there, you just would loan less money. They would just,
yeah, so we got it right. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So they can always get it, even if
Yeah,
that 450 rents out
whether
for
or not it's worth
25
it.
even that 450 rents out for 2,500 a month.
Yep.
It's just they just won't be able to borrow 80%. They'll be able to borrow, 50% or 60, whatever it adds up to.
Correct. So check it out, guys. 6.875 would not cost them any points on a freaking DSCR.
Nice.
That's wild.
Fantastic. What's the loan amount on that, or what's the payment?
It would be. Now I got to pull up something else. 60. 6.875. 2364 is the principal interest.
Really, that's just principal and interest. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Say 23 something on a what they borrow 350.
360. Yeah. 2364.
Okay. Yeah, that should work. And you throw they're going to want taxes and insurance escrowed in that too, right? They're going to want that paid every.
They can do whatever they want.
Okay.
I mean, it's going to be part of the DSCR ratio, but they can include it in the loan.
Okay. It is part of the DSCR ratio, though, right?
And for DSCR, Bonnie, I don't think you asked this, but even though you can put 15% down on a conventional investment, you got to do 20% to go DSCR.
Okay. All right.
And like I'm not even shopping it, guys. This is the worst case scenario.
Okay. Do you guys have any other questions for Paul? Paul, how excited are you? What do you think is going to happen with this market?
I feel pretty good about it. I think that we're going to see. I think we're going to see another quarter next month too, and I think by the end of 2026, we're going to end up with those daily rate emails being in the mid to low, like 5.375. I think that's a really healthy market I think it gets sellers that are at 4 to be like, fine, whatever. So, because more buyers are going to enter the buyer pool. They're going to get a little more for their house than they would right now, right? But they're also not going to get crushed on the interest rate on the next property. It makes it motivational enough to make a move. And I think we'll have a lot of people refinancing, which is good because there's a lot of debt to consolidate nationally. And a lot of those people will be refinancing and, maybe buying other homes or whatever the case may be. And then it'll bring a lot more buyers to the game too.
Fantastic. Okay, guys. Paul, I very much appreciate everything that you've told us before is slowly happening that you were telling us a year ago and stuff. So it's good to see that you've been pretty correct on that kind of stuff. You haven't been outlandish or anything. You've just been right that you expected it to be in the 5s by the end of the year. And it looks like it's going to be. So that's great.
Thanks for keeping score, bud.
You bet. I would let you know if you were wrong. So
yeah.
Might as well let you know when you're right.
Yeah.
All right, bud. Well, thank you very much for coming in. If you guys don't have any more questions for Paul, we're going to let him go. Paul, thank you so much, bud. We'll be in touch. I'd love to see those tools for the what did you call it? What they're missing out on, the lost opportunity.
Yeah, cost of waiting, risk of waiting, buy versus rent. To be a lot of information.
Okay, great. And they're going to be on your social media as well.
What happened today too? Like not right this second, but a review of what happened with the Fed today.
Right. Okay. Awesome.
Perfect. Awesome, guys. Have a great day. And I'm here if you need anything. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Paul.
Thanks.
See you, bud. All right, guys. I want to cover something with you real quick, and then we can talk about whatever you want. I've been getting lots of inquiries because your board, your local boards, are asking you for renewals. I've been getting lots of inquiries on our MLS only brokerage. Do you guys have any questions on that? I'll fill you in. I'm sure somebody will have a question on it, but I'll fill you in. So here's what it is. It is, you do not need to pay your local board FAR and AR. Okay. You can just do MLS only. We have a higher transaction fee for that. With our brokerage, it's $475 or $275 instead of, well, now $399 or $199. Some of you are on the $350 or $175 plan. Okay. Because you've been here longer. Okay. So that's that. The other thing, obviously, that's the only difference on our end. We treat you all the same all the way around. Otherwise, you cannot call yourself a realtor if you do this. You will not win the realtor awards from, all that stuff. You will not have access to the lockbox, the Century or Supra boxes, but you can do it like everybody else does it with their members of Osceola, and they want to see your listing in Orlando on your Century box. They're going to call you for a day code. That's what Thompson agents do. And I think that's it. You can't call yourself a realtor and you won't have the boxes. You still get the forms. You still have transaction desk, or you won't have form simplicity. You'll have transaction desk because it's part of MLS. And otherwise, they treat you all the same. They don't particularly like Thompson brokerages at the MLS, but they have to treat you the same anyway. Because I don't know if you guys know this, the reason you have to join a board to join the MLS is because the boards own the MLS. And so they get extra money out of you because you have to have the MLS to do business. So, but they don't get to do that with a Thompson brokerage because of a lawsuit that was filed by a brokerage in Atlanta that didn't think that they should have to join the board to get MLS because it was extortion, which it is, and they won. So in 3 states, Florida, Georgia, and Alabama, you do not have to belong to the board to get MLS. Also in Washington State, for some reason, they've got some kind of workaround, which is that the boards don't own the MLS there. So they don't extort you. So if you have any questions on that, let me know. It is a completely different brokerage, so you'll have different paperwork to sign with us, and I'll send you the package. But a lot of you are asking because you've got 2 days to pay. A lot of you, if you're in Aura, at least you have 2 days to pay. I think Lake and Sumter maybe 2. So I know they're harassing you for this money, so just make sure that you are.
Got a new sister, huh?
Yep. So they're going to be harassing you for this money, so that's why you guys are asking me. Also, if you don't want to pay it and you don't want the MLS at all, you don't want that, you're ready to wind down or whatever, we also have a referral brokerage where it doesn't cost you anything to hold your license with us, or you don't have to join a board or the MLS. You just won't have the MLS. All right. Any questions on that? Awesome. You guys are, I don't know if I've got everybody muted permanently or what. You guys have no questions, no nothing. I love it. Actually, I don't love it. Let's hear questions. Tammy in Orlando.
So I want to tell you my newest story, but
Okay.
I need some advice too. I have a buyer. She's got an offer on a really nice house. There probably was not going to be anything wrong at the inspection, or not much. Foggy windows, which we knew that. So we go to the home inspection. I'm sitting outside and it's vacant. And the inspector comes. The AC is leaking because the float switch wasn't working, and it leaked into the garage, which is not really a super big deal. So then he's got everything running, the washer, all the faucets, the showers. And I go up in the bedroom where he's at with carpet, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a bathroom, that bedroom. I go, oh my gosh, there's water everywhere. And he's like, oh, maybe the seal's broken. The previous tenant, the guy had rented it out 1 year, had put 2 women put female personal items down the drain, and the whole drain down in the yard was totally backed up. And so the water came back in every 3 bathrooms, the shower, all the bathrooms, all the toilets, wet everywhere. So they were luckily the listing agent happened to come by that day. And they're like, we'll make it right. They had already ripped up the carpet that night. But my concern is, and that my buyer is so picky. We have looked for 2 years and we found this perfect house with really no problems until all this water overflows. So I don't know what to suggest. I'm kind of concerned about the vanities soaking up, the bathroom vanities soaking up the water, and like, you know, the bottoms of them getting ruined. Would you just suggest asking for money for new vanities? Because you don't really know if that's going to happen or not. You know, baseboards in the bathrooms, they're putting new carpet in the bedroom. They already had ripped that up and they were going to replace those baseboards. And I made them do I didn't make them, but they did I said, can you guys do a camera scope? I just want to make sure there's nothing blocking this. It was all clear from their camera. So do you, from your point of view, would that be the most critical thing? Like just the vanities, ask for money for the vanities?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what these vanities look like. Their vanities are not that expensive typically. The seller, how long has it been on the market?
It was 18 days.
How desperate does the seller seem?
Well, this is the deal. He's giving 3% commission, which this should have nothing to do with commission. Unless anything goes below 520, he's only going to give 2.5 per commission. So if she asks for anything, it comes out of the commission, which is ridiculous. So, but to me, this is totally above and beyond that initial agreement, because it's a problem that got created as a result of your past tenants. It's not something my buyer would even ask for if we hadn't had a flood. So he has a bottom line number, and that's, so he really wouldn't budge much. But my buyer asked me, like, do you think he'll replace the windows because they're all fogged up from the seals? I said, no, it's really probably being sold as is. She's like, okay, well, Merry Christmas to us, because she's working a little part-time job. She'll just pay for them. But then at the inspection, I told the buyer's agent, I mean, the listing agent, I said, yeah, these windows are so foggy. She goes, yeah, I told the buyer, or she goes, I told the seller that, yeah, the buyer's probably gonna, you know, say something or maybe request something for that. So to be prepared. So she kind of gave that away. So, but she's,
how much is the house? Is five something?
522.5. He had it priced at 530, and then we got 522.5 with 3%.
Okay. If it goes below 520, then you're gonna make $2,500 less, $2,600.
Or the buyer takes it out of her pocket to pay me, so it's really a wash in a sense.
Right. No, it's never a wash. So you're getting money out of the seller to start with. So yeah, you've got more than $2,000 worth of problems there. So I would say you need to tell your buyer, look, if you'll make up this $2,600 for me, we'll get, you know, you need to get, I don't know, 5, 8, 10 grand out of the seller. Windows aren't cheap. At least he could help with the windows. Obviously vanities are cheap, but not that cheap. And you know, they're going to spend in 4 figures in vanities. Assuming it's a bigger bathroom. I don't know what it looks like.
Yeah, the master. And you know, some of those are weird sizes too. It's just such a shame. It really is such a shame that happened.
Yeah, it is.
It's a shame for the seller, but he got what, $3,000 a month for a year out of those people. So in the end, you know, he did make money probably from them.
Yeah.
But
so so my advice, and you're welcome to, anyone else can give advice if they want. I would go for the money and tell your buyer, look, I'm going to get you down to 515 and you're going to pay me 2,500, but we're going to be better off. I mean, if you've been working with this buyer for 2 years, I don't feel sorry for him going after that 0.5% from him.
I don't either.
Okay, good. So they know they owe you 3%. And if anybody has ever been happy with their realtor, it should be them. So, and you're going to fight for them for more. So that's the way I would do it. I wouldn't tell them, nah, just eat it. You know, and don't just go for 2,500 because that's all you got when you still get your 3%. That makes you look bad. But
no, I was thinking 700 of vanity. That's kind of where I came up with that but I wasn't even going to go for windows because she kind of accepted them. But so you think I should?
Well, if you want to do that, if she's happy with the windows, then fine. If not, go for the.
No, I think she'd probably be happy if we could get something for the windows.
Of course she would.
Yeah.
I think
So
so.
would you ask for, she's putting like 250 down, so she's got a lot down. So you would just ask for a price reduction then,
hmm
as opposed to cash or money back at closing.
Well, no, I don't care. Either way.
Okay.
Either way, it doesn't matter. But I typically like money back at closing, but depends on if the lender will allow it because she's already doing, well, no, the 3% count. The commission doesn't count. So
Right. Yeah, that would be fine. I think that would be a problem. No problem. So you think I should go for 7 or you think I should go for 10?
I don't know. What do you think? How much are the windows? They're expensive.
Yeah, they're probably going to be, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 7, like 2 double windows. And yeah, there's probably like 7 areas of windows.
hmm
But I
Yes.
don't know that it's his responsibility to pay for all of the windows, but $10,000 would probably do it for the vanity. I mean, it wouldn't cover everything, I don't think, on windows, but it would be a nice start. Be less that she has to put out of her pocket. And I don't even know if he'd agree to it.
No, you can ask him, say, look, I know I only get 2.5% now, but we got all these things to deal with. And you don't want to blow up the deal. So
Yeah.
and it was only on the market for 18 days, which is right now like 1 day. That's
Right.
so
Right. So I
Um,
didn't know if I would be out of line or out of order, because I haven't said anything to the buyer because I wanted to talk to you. And I don't want to be sneaky, but I don't want to create a problem that might not exist. But do you think it's justified to tell her that the problem that I see that could happen is the vanities swelling up? Because I don't know that that will really happen or not.
No, and and that makes me. I don't want you to blow this deal for them because obviously they finally found a house they like. Maybe I would go for $2,000, 2,500, something like that. And yeah, you don't know that that's even going to be a problem.
I mean, I'm gonna go look at it this week before our inspection's up on Monday, just to see what it's looking
See
like.
if it's blown up at all. Yeah.
But yeah, the windows really weren't an issue to her, but I could give her the option to ask for it.
Yep. Okay.
And I could tell her about the vanities that we should ask for that.
I believe
Okay.
in offering all these options to them and giving them your opinion on what you think they should do.
Okay.
But that's all about feel. That's hard for me to sit here in a meeting and tell you what I think because that's all about feel from you, your client, the seller, the
Yeah.
listing agent, all that stuff. You get a feel. You guys know that feeling you get.
She
when
is
you-
so picky, and I was so surprised that she was so calm when all this was happening. I was like, oh my gosh, she's not gonna want this house after all of this, but she does.
Right.
So
Well,
yeah.
use your instinct on that. So that tells you something.
yeah,
And if you talk to the listing agent, you know how desperate or not desperate the seller is. You guys all know that. You know you get a feel for something and you're thinking, boy, I hope I wouldn't ask for anything else on this one. I think the seller's at their tipping point.
yeah,
That kind of thing. Or you're looking at it and thinking, we can go for more. And you want to do that for your client because you want them to be
Yeah.
happy, come back to you and use your again. Hold on one second. Buyer's very strong, use that leverage. Yeah, your buyer's putting down 250. That's impressive, and that's going to be helpful to them where they're not going to have to worry about an appraisal as much and all that stuff. Where
we might get a waiver on the appraisal, maybe.
Yeah, but a seller would have to worry about. But even if the appraisal comes back low, you can cover it, and the seller's going to, they're going to not have that comfort with the next buyer, most likely.
I think it's going to appraise because there is a comp at 530.
Okay.
I think it's going to appraise.
Good. Excellent. Well, the seller has spent some money already doing the carpet, and it's unfortunate for them, but it was their problem that they got that $3,000 a month, and now they got an issue from it. But that happens. That's the tough part about renting out property. That's a landlord's nightmare. And
Yeah.
it happens a lot. Kids will flush GI Joe down there. All kinds of stuff. So I think just use your instincts on that.
Okay.
Decide, give them some options. Do we just want to go for $2,000 to cover the vanity, or do we want to go for more? Oh, Kim, maybe this is what you wanted to say. How old is the house? The windows could be covered under warranty.
It's no, it's past that.
The older house. Okay. Kim,
14.
did you have a
2014.
question?
No, that's what I was going to ask, how old the house was because of the warranty.
Yes,
Awesome.
2014. And isn't the warranty only good from a builder for the first buyer or no?
Well, the window, I only know this because we built a home, my husband and I, and our windows, they were probably 5 to 6 years old and they started fogging up. And every window has a little number in there, or should. And I was able to reach out to the window company. I had to pay for the insulation, but they basically replaced the glass. Also, I'm assuming this house has original windows, but something else just to keep in mind for future and everything. When people redo their windows, I know if they use Window World, for example, they have a lifetime warranty. So it was just a thought.
Yeah. So how would you find out what manufacturer those windows are?
You just, when you go, I would suggest when you go look at the house to check the vanities, just to look at the windows and see if you can find anything, and then look online and reach out. I had to do all the legwork for mine because it was not under the builder, but I did end up getting, the gas just leaked in them, and they ended up replacing them. It was a very minimal cost for me.
The builder was Lennar, but that's when they were doing kind of a better job than they do now. Back in
there's a
2014.
These windows, well, I don't know what kind of warranty the manufacturer would offer. So the house was built in 2014. So it's what, 11 years old. You know, they could have had a 10-year, 15-year warranty, 20-year warranty. You don't know till you at least look and try. That could just be an option to help her get the window.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Yeah, check that out. Christine, you have a question?
Yeah. Well, first I wanted to say to Tammy, I'm not sure if there's still funds, but it's worth checking mysafeflhome.com. Sellers can get up to $10,000 for hurricane preparedness. So things like windows, roofs, things like that. So if there's still funds in the program, your buyer can register. Yeah, again, if it runs out by the time they get to it, then it runs out. But they can register. The state will send an inspector out for free to look at those couple of items. And if there's a problem with like the windows or the roof or something like that, you can get, it's like 2/3 up to $10,000 of whatever the replacement cost would be. You have to use somebody who has applied with the program and is an approved contractor. But I mean, it's a good resource. I've had somebody do it and they got some new on a property that they purchased that way. So that's what I want to say to Tammy. In regards to, if I can just plug a couple of my properties because they're sitting, but they're good deals. I have a property, and I'll put these in the Facebook group. I have a property in Mount Dora. It's a 2-2, but it's like walking distance to the downtown. It's fully furnished. It was formerly a very popular Airbnb. So if you have anybody looking for that, Mount Dora is actually a really popular Airbnb vacation destination. I have one right around the corner from the office. It's a 4-2 with solar panels. We're going to slash the price to $349. I think it's on like half an acre or 0.35 acres. So that one's going to get slashed to $349. And yeah, anything that I'm listing, the sellers are always offering a compensation. So if you have anybody, please think of me.
Awesome. Thank you. How much is that Airbnb in Mount Dora?
That one is, I think we have it at like $387. They have probably a little bit of flexibility, but it is sold furnished, right? So they bought it furnished. So, you could.
So they can get a DSCR loan on that.
They could. They could.
Christine, what was that website you said again?
It's My Safe Florida Home, but it's just the FL. So mysafeflhome.com.
Thank you.
Sure. Good luck.
All right, guys. Any other questions before we go? Caroline, you had your hand up. Did you get it resolved?
I was just asking if people, I just was wondering if people had their listings for a long time. I've not experienced this, but I have a couple of listings, one over a year, and that's never happened. And another one, I mean, two other ones that is 10 months. And I don't know what else to do. I've done open houses, I've lowered the price, and a few, I believe they're overpriced and the sellers want to keep it that way. But one is actually reasonably priced. It's a townhouse in Davenport, but nothing. I'm like, oh my gosh. But I do get a lot of offers from investors, 150,000 below what they're asking. I'm like, how does that work? But anyways,
yeah,
I don't know what to do. Like, it just seems that I'm taking these listings and it's not moving. It's I don't know. I don't know what else to do.
But one thing
on
I
these.
am thinking is that the market will be better in 4 months, 6 months. And it might be time to take them off the market for 2 months, get them reset days on market, and then put them on. It's just something to think about, something to present to your sellers, depending on how desperate they are. I mean, they're probably not blaming you, I can imagine, since you're asking them to lower the price and they're not doing it. And the one in Davenport, there's so many townhomes and condos on the market right now that prices are, it doesn't matter what you price them at, there's just way too many of them and people aren't buying them.
Yeah.
So what you have when you have high interest rates and a high prime rate like the Fed controls, that means interest on everything is making people more money. Bonds are making people more money. Obviously, stocks are doing great. So investors have cooled on real estate for right now. They want to borrow money, it's higher. Rents have stabilized. So it's not a very attractive investment for investors right now. So and I bet without looking that your townhouse in Davenport has lots of competition for sale around it. And it doesn't matter if you price it right. It's just some of them you just can't give away right now.
Okay.
With condos, I used to sell the ones for our property management clients when they want to sell. Carissa would have me throw them on the market for her. And the people aren't even really trying to sell them much anymore. I haven't sold one in a year. They're just not selling.
Okay.
So I used to sell a lot of condos. I used to sell 1 or 2 a month. Now I can't give them away. But condos have a little different thing, but everybody's got special assessments now. Everybody's got all these things in their HOAs with these multifamily things. So I wouldn't worry. I mean, I would worry because it's not going to sell really no matter how you have it priced. I think I would be patient. If I had an investment property like that, I'd probably rent it out for a year and then sell it, because I think the market in the future is going to be better.
And
it can't be worse than this for condos and townhomes. So I think it's going to be better in the future.
And the one in Mount Verde, it's nothing.
And that's a great area and stuff too. I don't know.
And the lady, the seller, she wanted me to put it up for rent also.
Mm-hmm.
So I have it listed for sale and for rent at 3,500, and it's been it just has no activity. I'm like, oh my gosh. And she's desperate. So I'm not really desperate because I'm working, trying to do, but I'm desperate for them. I don't know if that makes sense.
Go to Bella Colina.
Yeah.
Go to the sales center there and tell them you've got a place for rent down the street, because there's people are renting houses while theirs are being built, and they're renting for 10 months, 12 months while their house is being built.
Okay, I'll do that.
Talk to the ones in the fancy part of it, and talk to Dawn there at the sales center.
Okay,
And tell them that you've got a place for them to put their people while they're waiting for their houses to be built.
okay,
And you can spiff them. You can give them $500 or something.
okay. Perfect. I'll do that.
Yeah, because they're all
Oh,
licensed. Just to be clear with everybody else, they're licensed realtors there, so you can pay them for sending you people. Christina, you're back.
I'm back. Yeah, it's interesting because that property I have in Mount Dora, mine is sold furnished, and it's like 387.9. The house next door, they also listed. They're not furnished, but it's interesting because they've reduced their price several times. Similar houses. I think ours is probably in better shape, but they've reduced it to 355, and they're not getting any bites. So it's interesting in that with some of these situations, I think it just doesn't matter even the price unless you're really slashing it. I think it's just gonna take time.
You'd have to give it away. Yeah.
So I don't know, but sounds like you and Paul and everybody. I mean, I'm just everybody's set.
I think it just goes to follow that I with so much time now. I mean, we're looking at 3 years of a slow market now, and I think that there's got to be pent up demand. People haven't been making the crosstown moves that people normally make because they want a nicer house, a bigger house. So you guys know that you've all been through certain, or people have been through stages of life where they're getting married, they're having more kids, their kids are moving out, and all this stuff, and they need a different size house, different area, or they're just doing better in their jobs or doing worse in their jobs, and they need to downsize or whatever it is. They have little life changes that make you move across town. And that hasn't been happening because you're not getting out of your 3.5% to go to a 7%. But now, as that 3.5% compares to a 5.5%, that's going to make people will do that. That's something that people can swallow much more. Not like it was before when people were moving out of a 6% to a 3%. That's when we were going gangbusters. But now they're moving out of a 3 to a 6. It's the opposite. So that has to be pent up demand. And then there has to be, also people are moving down here. People are more willing to do it. And that's all that is. And the few buyers coming in the market, like Paul said, just 10% more buyers drive prices up 15%. Just mathematically, historically, that's what it's done. Just more people want it. But right now we're talking about pricing, and I'll do it like this. Look, I'm not going to go out and buy a Cybertruck at full price at $100,000. But if there's one for sale on the corner here, for me to buy it, it's not something I want or need. It'd have to be $30,000 because I know it's a great deal, right? So that's the kind of thing. I mean, if there's a car that you don't really want, you're not going to buy it. But if it's for half price, probably would. So, but your sellers aren't going to drop to half price. You know what I mean? So 10% off doesn't help me. If a $100,000 truck is at the end of my street for sale and they're selling it for 90 grand, I'm still not moving on it, right? It's just still not a great deal. Sell it for 50 grand, yeah, because then I know I can turn around and sell it. I just know it's a great deal, never get burned on it. So that's it. Carolina.
At work, and I'll give you a call back.
Okay.
Thanks. That was really, I have a house that my seller wanted to list it at 305 in Mineola. So I actually said to her, you should list it for more and then we can work our way. No, I want to sell it quickly, blah, blah, blah. And then I looked at a house that sold a few days later for like $30,000 more than what she got in terms of, what she sold it for at 305. I'm like, oh my gosh, I would die if I'm a seller and then I sold the house for way under what I could have got. Obviously, I can't do anything about that now because she got a contract and it's on the market. My question about this call that I just got. She wanted to relocate because she has 3 pit bulls. Nowhere would take pit bulls in any community that's 55 plus. I was able to find a mobile home that did not, it's not a 55 plus, and there's no restrictions, and she can bring her pet, etc., etc. However, I did the inspection and there were some safety issues, and that's him calling me. And I said to him, look, I need these safety issues resolved. Otherwise, I'm not comfortable with her purchasing this house cash, mobile home, $97,000, without these things repaired or fixed. And my opinion, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so much money for a mobile home, $97,000, and it's a 53-year-old mobile home. But the buyer loves it, and she's selling her house for like $30,000 less. I'm like, what am I in? Where am I? Like, this real estate is a little bit crazy. I'm like, but my point in this is what I'm not really familiar with the mobile homes and the insurances and all these issues that she can have. So I just wanted to know what anyone's experience has been, because I told her that her insurance is going to be very high with this mobile home. I'm thinking, I don't know, because I'm not, what do I do to help with the insurance is my question on a home being bought cash.
The insurance shouldn't be too high. She needs to get it. I mean, she doesn't have to have insurance.
Correct.
It's not going to be that high because it's only 97,000. If they had to replace it, it's only 97,000. It's not a
okay.
So I mean, so you're dealing with it's like if you insure a Camry versus insuring a Ferrari, it's going to be cheaper no matter what you do. No matter, even if you have a teenager driving, it doesn't matter because whatever. So it's going to be cheaper because it's only 97,000, and the replacement value on it is probably 50,000.
Right.
So I don't know is the answer, and just talk to an insurance guy. Even people here could give you their what happened 5 years ago. It's not the same now. So
okay.
talk to Dan or somebody, whoever your insurance person is. You remember Dan Brown's been in here before. You can talk to him. If you don't have his number, contact me or Jeanette.
Dan?
Yeah. You remember Dan Brown? He's been in here several times.
And one more question.
Yes.
Will her insurance be up? Hang on 1 second. Will her insurance be higher with 3 pit bulls?
I don't know. That's she needed these dogs. Like, it was like, I get, that's her family. Like, I can't, I need to sell my house, but I need a place for my dogs. And that was the only place. It was great.
She would have paid $1 million if she had it. So there you go. I mean, there's nothing you could do about that as an agent, making sure she gets the best value. She's got things. She wanted to sell that house fast, and she wanted to get those pit bulls somewhere. That's like
correct.
You throw out everything you know about real estate and make the client happy. All right.
Okay. Now, I missed the meeting last week. Yes. What is the form? I mean, if you could just tell me the form.
FD2. You need it on every deal now. So
what is it?
FD2. It's a flood disclosure. It's a new flood disclosure.
Okay.
We were doing one back a few 6 months ago, 8 months ago, 10 months ago when they started requiring it. Now, I think it was beginning of the year they started requiring it. That was, you could either have that or have a seller's property disclosure. Now you need this flood form no matter what. So it doesn't matter about seller's property disclosure.
Okay.
All right.
By the seller's agent.
The listing agent should be providing it. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the buyer's agent would know.
For this mobile home.
Right. Oh, for sure. But the mobile home probably hasn't been flooded because it's probably sitting up off the ground. So
it's actually on the water, like a little I don't know what you call those, lakes or man-made stuff or.
Yeah, just to be clear, I want to be clear about that. Yeah, like a retention pond type thing. Yeah. So just to be clear, what Tammy said earlier, Tammy did not have a flood event. It flooded, but it was because of plumbing. A flood is outside, either an overflowing pond or storm surge or something like that, but not from plumbing mistakes and stuff like that. Okay.
And that should not be disclosed under the description
need to
on
be.
the property.
It doesn't even disclose under anything if you fix it.
Correct.
So if
Correct.
Tammy gets everything fixed on that house and then they want to sell it 5 years from now, it won't matter. It won't matter that it overflowed and all that stuff.
Okay.
Because it's all been repaired. It's not an ongoing problem.
I
It's new.
definitely miss you guys.
Well, we love having you join us every time. Christina, you have a hand up.
Yeah, I don't know. This is not me. This is having to do with politics. I'm not making any personal political statements. But a lot of talk, I don't know if this is something that's, how the election's going to end up. A lot of talk about the New York elections. One of the candidates is running on taxing the rich. Just something that, I don't know, I'm curious what everybody's thoughts are. If we're going to see, I've seen some people say, hey, this is what's happening. We're going to leave. We're going to move. I don't know if that's going to actually happen and if people will migrate. And people come here from New York all the time anyway. But I've seen some talk about that. I'm kind of curious what everybody's thoughts are on that.
Yeah, we're not getting into politics at all, but I can answer that question for you, which is during COVID, when people were locked out of their offices and everybody's boss said you can work from anywhere you want in the world, people took their, I don't know if you guys know this, but yeah, I'm sure you guys do know this. The cost of living difference between New York and New York City and Florida, most places in Florida, is crazy. The difference, but they were making, what we would consider $100,000 job here is 200 there, whatever, right? So they were making their big salaries there and coming and living in Florida. Now they could live in Florida and make New York money, which was fantastic, which is why people did that from California and New York, anywhere it's cost of living is high. And they did it to Florida and Texas and places like that where cost of living is lower. I think that you may see a little bit of that. People are going to go somewhere because they're not going to just sit there and be taxed a lot more. So they're going to go somewhere, and the people that can afford to do it, I think it will, Florida already has crazy demand. It's going to be even higher. A little bit higher. Somebody asked what's happening. They're having a mayoral election, Carolina. That's all they're doing. And one of the candidates, the leading candidate, is threatening to raise taxes on anybody making a certain amount of money.
And freezing the rent. And freezing the rent.
And doing the rent freezes and a
In
couple
New
of
York?
different things. Yes, New York City.
And how, I'm just not sure. The question was,
Will
For
that
people
drive
relocating here?
people here? Will that drive more people here?
oh,
And
got it.
because that's
Got
if you watch the news, they say the first state they mentioned is Florida. They're going to go to New Jersey and they're going to go to Florida. The people from New York. So that's that. It is what it is. Any other questions or comments? All right, guys. Thank you very much for coming in. We will see you next week. Love to touch base with you guys. If you ever need anything, let us know. Jeanette's in the office. We have a new marketing coordinator for you guys. His name is Antonio. Antonio is available to help you guys. He is bilingual. He is very helpful. He knows his stuff, and he's there to help you guys as well. If you need open house flyers, if you need to spruce up your social media, some of you probably do, contact Antonio. He can help you if you want to do ads on social media, any kind of boosting stuff. You guys go out there and make your videos and do this stuff. I saw somebody's new videos. They were great. Victoria had some new videos. I don't know if she's in here, but she had some new videos. They were great. So I love seeing you guys. Friend me on follow me or friend me on Facebook, Instagram, and I'd love to follow you guys, see what you're doing. I'll give you some input if you want it. And otherwise, I'd love to just see what you're doing out there. All right, guys.
Who did he replace, Antonio? Was there somebody?
Michelle Machado. Remember Michelle Machado?
Yep.
You had talked to Michelle before. Yeah, Michelle's gone. She's moved on. She was with us for 3 years, I think. And Antonio's here now.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thank you very
Thank
much. Bye, everybody.